KRMS. Viper Communications, its employees, guests, and or sponsors are not responsible for any actions that may occur as the result of the information station, KRMS, Osage Beach.
It's time for the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Lakefront Living Realty is Missouri's only real estate firm focused solely on lakefront and lake access properties, changing lives one lake house at a time. So let's talk the waterfront lifestyle. Please welcome owner-broker Annie Faulstich and her guests for today's program.
Welcome to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. Protecting your home and dock. That is what we are going to be covering in today's show. I'm looking forward to talking to Skeltons Key and Lock and Roughwater Docks today. They are both here to give us some awesome tips and advice on keeping your home and dock safe over the winter. This show does not matter if you are full-time or away for the winter. This is going to be some great advice for anyone to follow. It's hard to believe that it is Thanksgiving next week. With real estate staying so busy, it doesn't even feel like we've missed a beat since the summer. So other than fighting now the weather to get pictures and homes on the market, that's really the only indication for me that we're going into the holidays. It seems crazy. Lakefront Living Realty office is staying busy, putting new listings on and putting multiple properties under contract. We are working now on a year-end review for all of our clients and real estate enthusiasts that are signed up for our weekly newsletter, the Lake House Scout. So if you would be interested in receiving either of those, please call me or email me directly. So that's a kind of a year-end recap, or again, the weekly newsletter we have exclusive for Lake of the Ozarks, the Lake House Scout. Just email me directly at annief@lakefrontliving.com. We put a beautiful new property on the market this week in the Villages, and I'm excited to tell you all about that later in the show with our featured listings, of course. But now I want to welcome Ike Skelton, owner of Skelton's Key and Lock, to the studio this morning. I appreciate you being a listener to the show and letting me know that you have some valuable information to share with our listeners.
Good morning, Annie, and thank you for having me. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Tell us about yourself and, of course, some history on Skelton's Key and Lock.
Well, my brother started Skelton's Key and Lock in the lake area about 20 years ago, maybe even over 20 years now if I did the counting, and he ran it. Trained me. I moved down to Lebanon, ran a shop down there for about 10 years. He wanted to retire, so I moved back up here and bought him out. And his son, my nephew, is running my shop down in Lebanon. We have the shop up here and going gangbusters. I like what you said about it seems like the summer isn't over, and I have to tell you, we've been staying pretty steady, and we appreciate the lake area and the business that we do, and we just enjoy being up here.
Yeah. So had you been to Lake of the Ozarks prior to?
I had a time or two before, sure. Like I said, my brother's been here a long time. We visited a lot, moved down here in about 2008 and tried a little landscaping that didn't work out so well for me. So got into locksmithing, which is more closer to what I do. I'm mechanically inclined, so I fell into it pretty good, and I enjoy doing it. A lot of people don't know a lot about locks.
Yeah, that it is a specialty area for sure. Well, I know our paths have crossed several times, and I cannot say enough good things about the service that you provide. I mean, go onto Google and you'll quickly see all the positive reviews. I know you stay crazy busy all year, but I cannot imagine your summer months. You just, kind of relate to that as far as you're staying busy this year. And I know things have changed, even in the past 10 years, really, around the lake, and how many more people not only utilize their second homes year-round, people visit the lake year-round, but then more and more people are moving here full-time.
Yeah, I think we're not just the summer destination we used to be. Like you said, I believe a lot more people are starting to move in here full-time and utilizing the area for more things other than just the lake itself. So it's good. I think it's good for just about everybody, and it certainly is good for the area. I
can't imagine, though, how crazy you are in the summer. Reading some of your reviews online, it made me pop into my mind and think, oh my gosh, you're all over the lake and doing some unexpected things. I guess I just automatically think of you in our relationship as far as, listings and getting new keys made and
Sure.
Convenience things in that sense. But man, you're all over the place.
We are. Just from this shop here, we'll go all the way out to Climax Springs, Gravois Mills, Versailles, Eldon area, and certainly everything in between. And you're right. We cover just, you name it, keys broken off in locks, locked out of whatever, losing keys for cars. If you stick a key in it, we probably work on it.
Yeah. Well, in the past, I've had a home electronics company on, and we briefly spoke about some home security, but you specialize in locks. So let's get specific and talk about Lake Home door locks. Mm-hmm. I mean, it seems pretty simple, but you and I both know firsthand and too often how many homes there are at the lake with little to no home security, even through their home locking mechanisms. Mm-hmm. I mean, you asked me the other day when we met at a house that I needed rekeyed if I had ever opened a home with a credit card. Mm-hmm. And so I laughed a little bit, and then I reluctantly answered, yes, I have. And it took me back to thinking of earlier this summer. It was a late Sunday afternoon, and I had some clients drive in from Kansas City just to see one property that was a hot property and drive back. And sure enough, the key was gone, no key in a lockbox. It's Sunday afternoon. And I did use the credit card to get into that property. I let the listing agent know first, but scary enough, it was a little too easy to do. Well, I don't know if I earned street cred from my clients or not, but
Well, if they thought about it, they thought for just a minute that if you can do it, pretty much anybody can do it. Not to take anything from you. I'm just saying that if one person can do it, just about anybody can. And that is the case. Unfortunately, some are more difficult than others. I've gone to jobs that some people have tried it and it didn't work, and I tried other methods to get in. That's usually my last method to try to get in, but I will do it. And the reason you can do that is because it's not installed properly, or the door is not matching up with the strike properly. And what has to happen? Those latches are called a dead latch. And if you look at it when you get home, look at your door, and you'll see on the latch that goes to your doorknob. Now, I'm not talking about deadbolts here. If it's dead-bolted, you're not going to get in with a credit card. This is only for doorknobs or door levers that has a spring latch on it, and a dead latch. So what'll happen is there's another little piece on the back side of that latch, and it is supposed to rest on the top of the strike plate. That's that metal part that goes on the door jamb itself. That little springy part there is supposed to rest on the door, on that plate, and then the latch itself will go down inside the plate. And when you have it like that, you'll notice that bolt will not come back again. That latch will not retract back. So an easy test you can do, and this will also tell you if it's working, is that you can use your finger and push that little spring back latch back about halfway, and then just try to push the latch in with your finger. And if it won't go, then you know that part's working. Then when you close the door, just look inside and make sure that one part is on top of the metal and the other part is inside the metal. And if you have it that way and there's not too much of a gap in your door, you should be secure.
So that's not necessarily any new technology?
Not at all.
Okay. So it's the same door handle that's being
Correct.
Installed even with the newer handles.
Yes, the dead latching mechanism has been around for years and years. The entire thing is how it's installed. It has to be installed properly to make sure that it's doing its function. It's designed specifically for that. So you can't just slip a credit card in there and get in that way and bypass the door. So if it's installed properly, you shouldn't be able to get in that way.
Okay. So that's what you're going to tell people then is it's really about installation.
It is. That's
it's
correct.
Not okay. Then I was definitely wrong. I'm thinking we're going to be talking about out with the old and in with the new a little bit on at least that credit card situation.
No, and I apologize for that, but
it's
good.
I'm learning.
It is, and it's a prevalent thing. I mean, it's been around forever and a day. And I don't know that a lot of people think about that. I think a lot of people maybe even like that feature in their house if they happen to accidentally forget their key or whatever, lock themselves out, then they think, they can just slip right on in and go. Well, again, just put it in your head that if you can do that, anybody else can do that knows how at all.
Anybody can
and
do
your
that.
home is not secure then.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody listening will go ahead and check out their doors at home tonight. Lock yourself out. Take a credit card with you. Hopefully keep somebody else inside that can let you in, for sure.
We think about with all of the DIY self-installs and do-it-yourself whatnot, that's just a little tip that you can make sure that if you're doing it yourself, keep your house secure.
Yeah, you really hadn't thought about checking that after installation. So, well, it's time to take a quick break, but stay with us on the Lakefront Living Radio Show. We are with Ike Skelton with Skeltons Key and Lock. We've got some more information coming up. He's going to teach us a little bit about the keypad locks that everybody is using right now. So stay with us for some more information. We also have Rough Water Docks joining us later in the studio, as well as our feature listing of the week. So stay with us at News Talk, KRMS, 1150 AM, 97.5 FM, and 103.3 FM. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich.
Welcome back to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage. If you missed us at the beginning of the show, we are talking about protecting your home and dock in today's episode. So we have been speaking to Skeltons Key and Lock. Ike is here with us talking about the old credit card, getting into the house with the credit card. So I've already learned a couple things on the show. So let's talk about keypads. I don't know if it really started in the condo building phase or not, but as an agent, it seems like that is the first area I started seeing more and more owners using electronic push button locks. Now we see them used all over. I mean, we personally have not had a home in many years that majority of all of our exterior doors had the push button electronic keypads. But I really can't even tell you the last time I carried a key myself. And we just talked about that over the break about everybody, people not having keys and the keypad. And I am one of those. I do not have a house key, and I could not tell you where it is, or have had one even in the last few homes that we've owned. So tell me a little bit about, the keypads and kind of history where we are now and where we're going. Sure.
Well, they really have been a big boom in this area, especially for, like you said, the condos. And I think it's really good for folks that have Airbnbs or they rent their places out. Many of them, you can store various user codes in them. That way you can have one that you could always use. And once you rent your place out for the weekend, or even just have a family member come down and stay for the weekend or something, instead of having to give them a key, the convenience of just giving them the code to get in is tremendous. So we see these a lot on a lot of homes and condominiums around. What I wanted to do this morning was just lend a little advice as to if you go out and purchase one, what to maybe look for, and certainly once they're installed, what to look at for the installation and how things work. There's two basic types. One has a motor that drives the bolt back and forth, and then one is electronic over mechanical, and you actually have to turn a knob in the center of it that engages the deadbolt or disengages the deadbolt when you leave. There are also entry-style push pads that are just like your regular knob or lever that you'd have on your door, but they are electronic as well. Those work pretty good, but again, there's the credit card trick. You could still possibly get by with that. So for the optimal security, I do recommend a deadbolt also being on the door. A couple of things to look at when you look at these electronic bolts is their operation. I don't really prefer or recommend the ones that the motor does the retracting and the throwing of the bolt, and here's why. If there are any kind of obstruction or resistance on that bolt as it actually goes into the throw of the door that goes into the door jamb, sometimes those motors, it'll certainly eat up batteries quicker. Sometimes, if there is so much resistance, the bolt will not engage and lock at all. The motor will just stop working, and sometimes it'll pull the bolt back into the unit, or sometimes it'll just leave the bolt sitting there halfway in. Mm-hmm. And a person may think it's locked, but in reality it's not, because the bolt is not thrown completely. The other problem we see is once the bolt is thrown, if there is resistance where the bolt goes again into the door jamb, that strike plate that's around it, that metal plate that you see, if it is dragging on it, a lot of times the motor is not strong enough to pull that bolt back. They even have, I think, fail-safes in them that if it puts too much resistance on the motor, it'll just stop trying to retract that deadbolt, which saves your unit, but you're still locked out if there's that much resistance. So you need to make sure that happens and that there's no restriction. Once you're inside your house, use the thumb turn and work that a couple of times. Make sure that there's no resistance whatsoever as that deadbolt throws. And then the ones with the motors should be okay. The one that I recommend the very most is a Schlage product, and it has, in the center of the deadbolt, it has a knob. It has a keyhole in the center of that knob. And there is another, to me, just as a professional in this industry, if you don't have a key on that lock that you're using, if there's not a keyhole in it at all, whether you ever use it or not, just have a key for it, because I have found that if it's electronic, it will fail. There's a point in time where it will fail. Yeah. And if you don't have that mechanical backup, well, then we'll be meeting each other, and we'll be doing some work at your place, which is fine with me. I like to meet folks, but that'll save a trip for me coming out there if you have that key backup. So, but with the Schlage that I recommend, there's an electronic device in there that activates it, and then you turn that knob yourself, and that throws the deadbolt. And then when you put your code in, you turn that knob to retract that deadbolt. There's two good things there. I think your battery lasts a lot longer because there is no motor in there per se to move the bolt back and forth. And if there happens to be some resistance in the jamb, you are the one that is mechanically pulling it back. So you can feel that resistance, and you can go ahead and put just a little more muscle in it to go ahead and pull that bolt back, extract that bolt. And once you're in, then, of course, you can look and see what the problem is with why there's any resistance there. One last thing probably about deadbolts, especially if you're installing yourself, is make sure that the deadbolt throws completely. It should go into the door jamb at least an inch. Sometimes I've gone to places and it sounds like it closes, but if you hear it hit something inside the door jamb, it's probably not throwing far enough. And if you don't throw it that complete far enough, you can walk it back with a screwdriver or a knife or something and get in that way as well.
Huh. I agree with you on those, electronic locks. I've had obviously quite a bit of experience just with different locks, and it's so true. Inevitably, the ones that we're locked out of or we can't get into are the ones that the motor turns it. And again, if it's stuck in there, it's not turning at all. You're not going to get in. We deal with that constantly in properties that we are showing. So, yeah, I think the ones with the mechanical or that you actually turn yourself do save so much battery and headache, especially, when we're out trying to sell your property for you.
Yeah, and another thing that I see a lot of times when I get called out, people say, well, the batteries are dead, and a lot of times they are. When you're using your unit, most of them have an indication when the battery is going dead. They will either flash a little red somewhere. Look at your owner's manual. It'll tell you what the indicator is on that particular unit. Otherwise, battery life, it kind of depends on honestly how much you're coming here. If you're using it virtually every day, I would change it probably every 6 months just to be on the safe side. If you come down here just a couple of times during the year, maybe you can get away with that 1 year, when we change our batteries and our smoke alarms. That would definitely be a good time to think about replacing those batteries. But if you use them a lot, maybe change them a little more often. Even if there isn't an indication that they're going that bad, if you hear the motor slowing down a little, your batteries are probably getting weak and probably a good time to replace those. But again, I can't stress this enough. Make sure that it has a keyhole in it and that you have a key for it. That is that's one of the best things you can do to help ensure that whatever else fails, you're going to be able to get in that lock that day.
Is there anything else specific that you do in your service in relation to, we're talking about the electronic keypads, but now more and more people have their those keypads connected to their devices, to their phones.
Sure, and you're right. That is a big deal. And they make several Wi-Fi compatible locking mechanisms. You're starting to get into some serious dollars with those. But they're out there. Again, just be careful what you buy. And again, always make sure you have a mechanical key backup. There is one out there that operates with the Nest, and it does not have a mechanical key backup at all. They're expensive, and people cringe when I have to drill them off the door.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, how you go about you just have to.
Some of those you have to destroy them to get off the door. If a person doesn't have another way in, a lot of these condos, that's the only door in.
Yeah.
And then a lot of places will have sliders. And a lot of the sliders don't have a key access on the outside. And if they do, a lot of people will put bars down on the inside of the track. Yeah. So, the boards, and that's good security advice. But I can't really defeat those either. The bar down in there, I really don't have a good method of getting those out. I've defeated them once or twice, but it's rare. Then we're taking a drill and we're destroying a $200 lock.
Ugh, that would be a bummer.
Yes,
For
definitely.
Sure. Well, by reading your reviews online, I see that you cover a wide range of services. Like I said, after reading those, I didn't even think about that. Just not opening the front door or rekeying a property is what I'm used to. So let's take another short break. And then when we come back, I want you to give the listeners a quick overview again of the services that you provide and the easiest way to reach you. So stay with us on the Lakefront Living Radio Show on News Talk KRMS. We're going to come right back, again speaking with Ike Skelton with Skeltons Key and Lock. But stay with us. We've got John Crabtree, owner of Rough Water Docks, here to talk about keeping your dock safe this winter. So stay with us, always on the Lakefront Living Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich.
Welcome back to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage. So if you're coming to us, we're kind of in the middle of the show now. We've been talking with Ike Skelton of Skelton's Key and Lock. He's been giving us some great tips and advice on keeping your house safe and paying attention to the small things and those locks that we talked about. So thanks so much for all of that information. As we left off just before the break, I wanted to get a rundown of those other services that are provided. It was an eye-opener when I was reading your Google reviews to really see, oh my gosh, yeah, you're all over the place and getting things that I'd never even thought of. Sure.
Well, yeah, we cover the gambit. I mean, we'll get you into your house if you're locked out. We can rekey things instead of changing the hardware. It's usually a little cheaper that way sometimes for the homeowner. We do car keys. We do the remote fobs. We program them. We can cut them. These new keys that have the Sidewinder cut on them or the laser cut, we do that. And I have been in some rather interesting situations that people have been locked out of their homes, their vehicles. storage units, what have you. We respond to that stuff all the time, and we tend to get on top of the emergency stuff as quickly as we can. Certainly, especially the vehicle and home lockouts. We get on that stuff real quick. Those take priority in all that we do. We'll do new installs, and for business owners, we do business stuff too. The door closers over your doors, the panic bars, and we're now getting more into the commercial line or larger keypad and electric strikes on doors and access controls. So we're expanding in that way, and just trying to help folks keep things secure here at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah. What is the best way for listeners to reach you?
The very best way is by phone, 573-346-7375. Our shop is on the Parkway down by Slumberland Furniture at 6196 Osage Beach Parkway. I'm not there a lot. I'm out doing a lot of service calls, but we do parking meters. We've done bubblegum machines. Like I said, if it has a place for a key to go in it, we probably work on it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I can contest that every time I have called your phone, you answer right away and are always super responsive. So just like all of those positive Google reviews, I say I appreciate your service as well. So thank you so much for being in the studio and giving our listeners some great information on key locks.
Thank you for having me. I've wanted to share. I share this with everybody I meet at their home, and I really do appreciate the opportunity of sharing some of that information this morning with the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like Skelton's Key and Lock, if you have information you would like to share with our listeners and be a guest on the show, please reach out to me directly. 573-216-4350. I would love to have you on the show, and we're always looking for information for our lake homeowners. So I now have John Crabtree with Roughwater Docks is with us in the studio today. Hi, John.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, good. I so much appreciate you being here. I know you personally, and I know you're a crazy busy guy, so I truly appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a passionate guy about what you do, so it's always fun listening to you talk about docks. I'm looking forward to our listeners getting to learn some more today. Docks, of course, are a constant topic of discussion on the Lakefront Living Realty radio show, dealing exclusively with lakefront and lake access buyers and sellers. The larger majority of our clients either own a dock or they own a slip in a dock. So docks are a huge part of our culture here at Lake of the Ozarks. The ability to own your own dock just steps from your house, not to mention the nature, the setup, or potential size of the dock it's huge for our lake, and I believe it sets us apart from most of the other lakes in the nation. I mean, trust me, we cover now over 1,600 lakes with Lakefront Living Realty, and I know I'm partial, but I firsthand see the advantages that we have here at Lake of the Ozarks. So it's no wonder a dock builder would want to be located on Lake of the Ozarks. But tell me about yourself, a little bit in the history of Roughwater Docks at Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay, yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years. I started way back when I was young. We started doing repair work at first and figured out that the docks needed to change. The industry was changing. We were getting bigger boats, heavier waves, all those things, and never would have dreamed the dock industry would go where it is today, you know, to accommodate these boats. When we started out with just pontoons and fishing boats to where we have basically the 54s and the 60s and 70-foot boats out there now. So been doing it for a long time. We love doing dock work. We do a lot of emergency work. My son, Jordan, will be taking it over someday, and he's been doing it since he was born. So
yeah. Well, like I said, we truly do talk about docks almost every week on the show in some way, shape, or form. So it truly has become the extension of the living space. It's become just as important, if not in some cases more important than the home that they're buying. So we're always talking about docks. You may be upset with somebody, but I had heard that in your earlier days in the off season, as we've been talking, we always talk about, you know, Lake of the Ozarks now being more year-round than it ever was before, but that you used to also build show kennel?
Yes.
Or show dog stands.
Yes, dog grooming stands for the dog shows. And also we built aluminum poop scoops and went around to dog shows and had a full booth of all dog supplies plus the tables that we built that would fold up. And it's amazing even today what the dog industry does and what they pay for tables.
Yeah,
so.
How crazy. Well, I always love getting little interesting tidbits and facts. And sorry about throwing that in on you, but I'm like, that's awesome. I love to hear that. So again, today we're going to talk about going into the winter season. I know we talk about docks every episode almost, but that's what we want to cover today is going into the winter season. I want to talk about dock winterizing. So is that necessary, and what does that even mean?
Well, when you winterize your dock, basically you're going to take care of your, you want to make sure your cables are good. The first thing, not everybody adjusts your cables, and you don't always have to adjust your cables, but when the water fluctuates and you have a weaker cable or an older cable, then the wind blows, you got more slack in the cable breaks, and that creates havoc. So it's a good time in the winter or right in the fall, early fall, to check your cables. If your cables are way above up on shore, you're going to have to adjust those. The elevation, when the lake drops, the cables get tight. And then as far as your water pump, you got a water. Most people have water pumps on their dock now. You make sure you want to winterize your water pump, and that's about it as far as winterization. But the cables are huge things. It's a easy thing to forget because your dock's floating there and it looks good. So should you check those cables now, this time of year, in the fall before? I mean, I guess it's the lake looked like it has come down a little bit already, but now, or do you wait until February whenever we're at low pool? Well, the low pool between now and February, when you're at low pool, when you're at really low pool is when your dock's probably the most vulnerable if you don't adjust your cables, because your cables are going to be loose, and we get the storms, and when the storms come, the winds blow, and then if your cables have a lot of slack in it, it gets a lot of more movement, and it puts a lot more stress on your cables because they're kind of bouncing back and forth. So it's a good time to check them, because once they come up, once the wind blows, you don't want your cable to break, and you'll see if you never adjust them, that will put more stress on your cable. Okay.
I mean, that's probably, you guys have what's called a winter watch program, and I think also even do some routine maintenance throughout the year. So tell me a little bit about that winter watch program.
So our winter watch program, basically it is it's a monthly fee. We're going to come out and check your dock if we have any major elevation changes, any major storms, snow, wind, anything like that. And we go around once a month, and then if there's any, like I say, elevation changes in the water or anything else, then we come by and check your dock to make sure your cables are good, make sure your electricity is still hooked up, your water, and a dock de-icer, those are huge. That's something that we check too, to make sure your dock de-icer is working, because you can have a dock de-icer, you stick it in, and you go away for the winter, and it turns off, and your dock still freezes in.
Mm-hmm. Well, that, we talk about that a lot on the show, just in those routine maintenance items. I think it's huge for people that do not live here year-round and may not have a full-time neighbor, or, before you always relied on the Cove mayor or, a neighbor down the street to keep an eye on your property, but more and more things are changing. There's not as many people around. So having a trusted and reliable, contractor coming out and checking on your house and your dock, I think is invaluable. So we are going to take another quick short break here on the Lakefront Living Radio Show. We're going to come right back and continue talking with John Crabtree with Rough Water Docks. So stay with us on News Talk KRMS. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich.
Welcome back to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage. If you missed us, any part of the show, we are talking about protecting your home and dock today. So we've been talking about dock locks, but I left off just before the break with John Crabtree, owner of Rough Water Docks. We are talking about winterizing your dock, the Dock Winter Watch program. If there is any part of today's show, of course, or any previous show that you have missed, you may follow us on our YouTube channel, Lakefront Living Realty Missouri, anytime and listen to those shows at your leisure. So check us out and subscribe not to miss any of the radio shows. You can check us out anytime. So John, thanks again for being with me today. I know you're a busy guy, but I love that Winter Watch program, and we left off just before the break talking about that. I mean, I just think it makes sense for everybody, even if you're not part-time. I mean, if you are full-time, dock cables, like you said, are not something that people are really paying attention to on a regular basis or necessarily even, really know about. I mean, I've been a dock owner, grown up with docks my whole life here at Lake of the Ozarks, but I couldn't tell you how tight or how loose my dock cables need to be. So, that's definitely an area to leave to the specialists. Touch a little bit on dock de-icers. You mentioned it before, but that's a question in an area that people don't really know what size, what kind of dock de-icer, what do people really need, or who needs one? Everybody?
Well, in my opinion, I mean, if you're on the main channel and you're not going to freeze up, you don't really need a dock de-icer, but I've been here long enough. The lake has froze over solid, and on the main channel, and it wreaked havoc on a lot of docks. I mean, it does a tremendous amount of damage. People underestimate what ice will do to docks. Once the lake freezes solid or your cove freezes solid, the ice expands and pushes everything to the shore. Pushes your dock, your foam, your lift, whatever's locked in that ice is getting pushed to the shore, and it will just damage everything. So it avoids your warranty, on your encapsulated foam. If you don't, they're not going to cover ice damage, and of course on your dock. So it's a thing a lot of people just tend to forget about and don't put them on. But it's not a very expensive thing, but it can be expensive. If you have a big dock, you might need 3, 2. It depends on the size of the dock. The main thing that you want to do is when you buy a dock de-icer and you put it in, if you want to put it in yourself, when you watch the bubble, it's going to go underwater and it's got a prop or an air. They're all different, but it's going to create a bubble coming up out of the water, and you don't want that bubble coming way up out of the water because you just want it to move a lot of water. So as it's circulating around, you need to look in between your foam. Good to plug them in on a calm day, then you can see how far it expands and how it goes in between your foam. The whole key is not to allow your dock to get locked in solid with ice. They have the thermometers on them, or that you can put on there, or thermostats. Sorry, they have the thermostats you can put on there, and the thermostats will kick it on and off. There's usually about a 5-degree differential, so once they kick on, they usually stay on for a while. And it's not that expensive to let them just plug it in and let them run for 3 months. Then you're always running. You never have any problem with them. But they are very essential, in my opinion, and to put them on your dock and to make sure you have them.
Is that something that you all also, is that a service that you provide? Do you install?
Oh, yeah. We sell them and install them. And then, of course, with our Winter Watch program, when we're going down there and checking, we make sure those are on. Because there's times your thermostat might go bad or you have a wiring problem and then it's not on, So if we're getting brittle cold and we know the lake's going to freeze over and you're on the dock watch, then we run around and make sure your dock de-icers are on. If you don't have one, we'll make a phone call, send you an email, and say, hey, let's something you need to get taken care of. So.
Okay. Well, we, of course, specialize in lakefront property, and most of our guests also have a niche market. You specialize in rough water docks. I mean, hence the name. Tell me more about that. What does it mean to have a rough water dock?
Well, the rough water dock, we just put a little bit more, quite a bit more support and angle and different things, the way we manufacture and the way we build our docks. The idea is to put them anywhere on the lake that you want, and they can last, where the lake is definitely not getting any calmer, and we're getting heavier, bigger boats, and it's taking a lot more for a dock to withstand all those waves and all the action that's happening on the water. So every year we're doing something different. We're learning something, and we're making our docks better and stronger and changing things. We're trying to keep up with what's going on at the lake, and we definitely want to be able to put our dock anywhere you want to put it on there and never have to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, I can say that you have personally built a dock for us as well, and because we did live on the main channel, and gorgeous dock. I mean, by the way, and especially because I think a couple of our neighbors had even had rough water docks, and it was true, being on the main channel and having that rougher water. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, it was night and day. Literally night and day difference from the old dock to the new dock, as far as even being at, when we were down on the dock enjoying it on the busiest days of the season. It would, just made a whole change, a whole new lifestyle. I mean, that's what we're selling, and we're talking about docks all the time. I mean, it truly does change your lakefront living lifestyle. So your website, roughwaterdock.com, is impressive, and it's so fun to look at. It really showcases the wide range and options someone has in a dock, and the extent of your work. I know you build and maintain a lot of commercial docks here at the lake as well.
Yes, we do. We've done quite a few of them: Coconuts, Frankie and Louie's, Paradise Restaurant, Captain Ron's. So quite a few condo projects, but we really strive on trying to take care of the business people too. Whenever Coconuts, it never fails. It seems like once a summer they have something. It's on a busy weekend, and they get so many people down there that so it is fun. I love building them for the commercial people. They do a great job too. It's great to see those docks full. You go down any of those restaurants, and all the slips are full, which is awesome. Yeah.
Tell us about that. I mean, I know because your services extend so wide. There's a crazy story over the summer of your crew removing a boat from a community dock that had crashed into it one night.
Yeah, the boat
ended. How'd that come about? Yeah,
the boat ended up on the roof of the dock, and it was sticking about 4 or 5 feet out of the peak of the dock, and we went over with our barge. I've got a barge. I took the barge over and a telehandler, big forklift basically, and we took it down. It was pretty amazing. I can imagine the ride going up. He hit the side of the dock and then hit a pontoon, and then it just shot him straight through the roof, And so when we brought it down, there was actually still a boat on a pontoon on a lift. And as I brought it down, I had the telehandler hooked onto it. And as we brought it down, once it came off that purlin, the boat on the lift acted as a cushion, and it just fell down and just came down nice and smooth. It wasn't a big bang, didn't tear anything up too bad. I had to end up chaining the barge to the dock because the buoyancy of the barge couldn't hold it up, and then we were going into water, so we had to use the buoyancy on the dock to help support the weight as we pulled it down. It was a crazy video. If you have not seen it, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. I know LakeExpo.com had it as well. I'm going to have you back as a guest on the show again, because we could talk about docks all day. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. roughwaterdock.com. Any best way to reach you? Yeah, you can give us a call at 573-374-0470. My office manager is Shelby. She's very knowledgeable, can answer any questions if you can't get a hold of me. Does a really good job. We strive on trying to get back to you and take care of all your needs. Awesome. Thanks so much, John. Thank you for having me. What I always, want to give you one featured listing of the week. So I told you earlier that we put an incredible new listing this week on in the Villages. Located on the gated Forest Ridge Street in the Villages, this home and neighborhood are stunning. I always wish that I had the ability to show pictures through the radio, so I'm going to do my best to allow you to truly envision this estate home. What I love about this home and what I feel really makes it stand apart from the rest is the comfort and warmth you feel from the moment you walk in, along with the stunning lake views. I can tell you from someone that has lived on the main channel, the views never get old. And 365 days a year, it truly does something to your soul.
This home is not, however, directly on the main channel, but it is situated just right on the lot to angle you to privacy, main channel views, while still having cove protection. It does not matter what day of the year it is, and you get a large majority of quiet. The views, the lake from nearly every room in this house will make this your happy place. This home features 6 bedrooms plus a home office or library, 2 living rooms plus the coziest hearth room off the kitchen with 3 glass gas fireplaces. Listed $215,000 under the recent appraisal. Yes, you heard me correctly. We have a recent appraisal of $1.79. The seller is aggressively priced at $1.575. Infinity Edge pool, fenced in grass lakefront lot. This comes including all furnishings, decor, and the concrete dock. So look it up today and call me to schedule a private showing. This is one of the nicest homes I've seen and still gives you the comfort and warmth. My family and I live and work to boat and enjoy all that Lake of the Ozarks has to offer. Real estate is truly my passion, so every day is a lake day.
Tell a friend to join you next week and listen in to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show. Visit their website for more information, including current listings and agent contacts. www.lakefrontliving.com. That's lakefrontliving.com. Or call the office at 833-LK-FRONT. That's 833-7668. 833-7668. And join them next Saturday after the news at 11 a.m. on News Talk KRMS Osage Beach.